The film begins with an ex-convict, Peter Kozlow, being on the phone with his handler, Agent Wilcox. He terminates their call because he has to communicate with a guy from the Polish crime syndicate, telling him that he will pick him up in 2 hours. After he hangs up, Peter's daughter appears to give her father a hug. Peter tells her that it is time for them to take their road trip, so he prompts the girl to wake her mother up. Once she does, Peter tells his wife to be ready to go in 20 minutes. Meanwhile, Wilcox calls her boss in the agency and asks him if they have green light for the operation. Peter will soon take them to the boss of the crime syndicate, whose nickname is the General. After taking his family to a shelter, Peter moves on and meets with his supposed fellow from the crime syndicate, Stasek. They soon pick up the Polish ambassador from the airport, who has brought them some kilos of a new drug they call pink. Agent Wilcox and her people are on their tail while Stasek drives the car around. In the back seats, Peter takes some of the drugs out of the bag. Stasek stops the car outside a hotel, and the man they picked up gets out of the car with his bags. Stasek tells Peter that he just found a buyer. So instead of dropping off the pink to the General, they will sell it and then hand the cash. Peter takes his phone out and pretends to be sending a message to his cousin, who in reality is Agent Wilcox. Wilcox communicates with her higher-ups and informs them that there is a change of plans. They order her to follow the trade and arrest everybody while the trade takes place. Stasek and Peter meet with their potential buyer in a club that belongs to the Polish Mafia, but they immediately see how nervous this buyer is. The buyer claims he served some time in the same prison Peter was convicted, but Peter does not know him. The buyer initially says he will buy 6 kilos of pink, but then decides to only make a trade for half a kilo. Stasek receives a phone call and leaves them for a few minutes. Peter now realizes that this buyer is probably an undercover cop, so he asks him straight about it. The buyer refuses he is a cop, but Peter has already figured it out. Trying to save him, he pretends to kick the man out while telling him to not waste his time ever again. However, the supposed buyer busts his gun and his badge out, saying he is with the New York Police Department. Peter tries to calm him down but can't take him out of this situation. Stasek sees them and sneaks behind the cop. He shoots and kills the undercover cop, a fact that makes Peter very annoyed. He tells Stasek they should never kill cops in New York. Then he says he needs to smoke a cigarette, which is the key phrase he would use in order to request backup from Agent Wilcox. Instead of helping him, Wilcox tells everybody to stand down because the situation becomes perplexed when they have a dead police officer in their hands. Peter sees Wilcox driving away and he realizes there is no help coming. Stasek needs his help inside to get rid of the dead body, but then the two of them are called in for a meeting with the General. After beating up Stasek, the General has a talk with Peter and starts twisting the events to his liking. In the beginning, he says the dead cop means bad business for him, because now the whole police force will be looking for Peter, who happens to be his best drug runner. Then, he says that Stasek killed the cop while he was pointing his gun at Peter. That means that Stasek saved his life, which now obligates Peter to owe his life to the organization. The General offers a deal. Peter will break his parole and will be taken back to prison. There, he will take control of the drugs and import pink on the General's behalf. With good behavior, he will be out in 5 years, and then his debt to the organization will be paid off. Peter naturally believes that deal is way too much, but the General forces him to accept when he says that he has found his daughter and wife. Peter has no real choice here, and he has to comply. Just outside, a car is waiting along with Peter's wife and daughter to take them back home. Upon returning to their house, Peter tells his wife that she should have stuck to what he told her. His wife made the mistake of driving around the house last night, hoping that Peter would return. In the meantime, the dead cop is found with an open throat and his tongue missing, which means the criminals knew he was a cop. A man named Grenz, who works as an agent against organized crime, takes this personally and dedicates himself to figuring out who killed his agent. He drives outside a Polish delicatessen and searches the area around for camera footage. Seeing that some stores are equipped with cameras, he retrieves the footage, hoping to find something useful. That same night, Peter meets with Wilcox and her boss from the agency. He asks them for their help, but the only thing they are interested in is building a strong case against the General so they can take him to court. They want Peter to play along with the General's plan, go back to prison and find dirt on him. Once they have enough to take him down, Peter will be a free man. On the other hand, Peter is afraid that if he fails, nobody will back him up. Wilcox confirms his fear, so she just wishes he will not fail. Once more, Peter is cornered, and he has no real choice. In the meantime, Grenz meets with a friend from the New York Police Department, and they discuss what they have discovered till now. They know one of the guys involved in the cop's murder is Stasek, a recently imported Polish, and Peter, an ex-soldier with post-traumatic stress that killed a guy in a bar fight. That got him imprisoned for 20 years, but then his file looks like it got redacted, which probably means he got recruited by the feds to work for them. Soon, Peter receives a visit from Stasek, who gives him some drugs to sell in order to break his parole, also informing him that the general will visit him for dinner during the next few days. Peter meets with Wilcox in his car, where she tells him that the warden of the prison has been briefed and he will help them out along the way. Peter tells her he needs them to perform a major sweep of drugs inside the prison so he can get an advantage in selling. When he returns home, Peter finds the general and his girlfriend there. As he tucks his daughter to bed, the general tells Peter that he loves children, but he could not afford to be a father. He would feel terrible if somebody tried to hurt his children. As the dinner progresses, the general's girlfriend starts singing a Polish goodbye song, which is not awkward at all. Meanwhile, Grenz has been stalking the house and sees the general leaving. Now he is convinced that Peter was involved in the cop's murder. In the morning, Peter and his wife set up a fake scene of abuse while she calls the police saying that her husband is trying to kill her. When the police arrive, Peter gives himself in, and he is taken back to prison. When he is taken to the room he is going to be contained in, his friends from the Polish organization approach him and inform him that they will help him in anything he might need. That night, the guards sweep the prison clean as agreed. In the meantime, Grenz pays the FBI a visit and makes it clear that he knows they are involved with Peter. However, he does not get a straight answer from them. Back in the prison, the drugs are delivered via a drone, and Peter picks them up inside a stuffed animal. Soon, he also receives communication from Grenz. He says he used to believe Peter killed his fellow officer, but now he has changed his mind. He prompts him to communicate with him when he is ready to talk about the incident. That same night, Peter is seized by another prison group, and they try to hang him because he does not respect the rules. However, they put him down once Peter tells them he is a snitch, and he is trying to take the general down. The group is interested in that because the general is their enemy. Peter manages to get a list of names in order to take the general down, but the FBI has decided to abandon him. The thing is, he knows the Polish will attack him sooner or later after what he just did. Peter calls his wife to say goodbye, but he is reminded of Officer Grenz and tells her to give him a call. He is the only one who might help them now. Later, he returns back to his cell, and he is attacked by a Polish gangster. Thankfully, he is able to deal with him. Right next, he takes one of the corrupt guards as a hostage and demands to speak to the press and give his wife a call. At the same time, the general's men break into Peter's house while his wife is trying to give Grenz a call. Back in the prison, Peter is trying to fortify his location while the FBI has taken authority over him, and they are coming to end him. In Peter's house, Grenz makes it to the property in time and kills one of the Polish. However, Stasek uses Peter's daughter as a shield, preventing Grenz from shooting. Even though he injures Grenz, Peter's wife appears behind him and shoots Stasek. With him falling on the floor, Grenz gets his chance to finish him off. Meanwhile, the warden gives Peter a phone to call his wife, but they cut his call short. Peter now dresses the guard like a prisoner while he dresses in the guard's uniform. He tricks the snipers into shooting the corrupt guard, and he also uses some gas bottles to cause an explosion. Dressed as a policeman, the rescuers believe he is an officer and load him into the ambulance. Wilcox identifies him and enters the ambulance with him, but Peter immobilizes everybody moments before running away. A few days later, Wilcox meets with her boss from the FBI. She tells him she recognized Peter in the ambulance, and the boss replies she needs to fix this. She pretends to give him the address to a motel where Peter is hiding, but tells him she can't do it. The boss says he will deal with Peter, but then he is arrested by the New York's police department. They now have enough clues to take him under for the illegal practices he used in Peter's case. In the meantime, Peter is secretly watching over his wife and daughter, but realizes that the FBI is tailing his family in order to get him. Officer Grenz walks near Peter and gives him an envelope and a fake passport. He tells him he needs to lay low for yet another month until things clear up, but then he will be able to see his family again.